stories are very rich. It's hard to follow that, but knowing J.C. Cannon has fallen, I don't think there's going to be an issue here. J.C.'s Cameron High School class of 67. He is the current Cameron High School alumni leader, very much involved in maintaining and supporting the alumni room here that I hope many of you visited before we started the program. And in his career was as a federal investigator. J.C., can you come up and share some stories about Cameron High School luminaries? Thank you.
Thank you.
Just go forward, slide forward.
All right, please slide forward. I have only a few minutes to talk about the wonderful people that Cameron High School has graduated here. My first superhuman was Dr. Harry Beeman. Dr. Harry Beeman. I need to say that slowly. A graduate of 1960. He received many. Oh yes, please advance the slide. Yes, that's him. Now I made the slide. Yes, Dr. Harry Beeman. And he got specialist in education in 1974. His doctorate of education, 1979 from George Peabody College. And he's professor of human and sports science at Tennessee State. Yes, he was a book man. But also, he was a basketball official for 31 years, up and down this darn court for 31 years. That's amazing, ladies and gentlemen, amazing. And to top it off, he was the first black to officiate a SEC basketball game in 1972. I hope he gets the accolades for this, not like Perry Wallace. It took for a decade or two for them to recognize that he was the first African American in the in the SEC. So I hope he gets it. But of all the things that Dr. Harry Beeman did, the reason why I'm up here is because of Dr. Harry Beeman. Dr. Harry Beeman and a few of his partners got together in 1986. They looked around, they thought about it, and they said, look, Cameron doesn't have an alumni. We need to get one. Those young men devised a plan, created a mission. Voila, up comes the Cameron High School Alumni Association, 1986. We've been going strong ever since, 37 years. The main mission was to give a scholarship every year to a descendant of Cameron. So you had to touch this holy ground in order to get that scholarship. Ladies and gentlemen, we have given away over $175,000. You gotta remember that they phased out Cameron in 71 as far as the high school. So every nickel and dime that we had just to beg for, to pray for, to ask over and over again, ladies and gentlemen, we never stopped. They devised a special recognition called the lifetime membership. $100 is all it took. $100 and you can become a Cameron lifetime member. That's special, man. That's like a badge of honor. You could vote in the elections. You could get a newsletter. I mean, you were just privileged just to get so much when you gave so little, but it was worth every dime. So it's a lot of y'all out there that are not lifetime members, but that's okay. See, I know who you are. We have a web page, an internet web page that's been started years ago. We also have a Facebook web page that has over 1,000 young people, Cameronites, that have registered. We'd like to thank a young lady by the name of Deborah Pullen, Washington, for starting. She was out of the class of 1971. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for Dr. Harry Beeman. Now let's talk about some beauty. Next slide, please. Let's talk about some beauty. Look at her. Isn't she beautiful, ladies and gentlemen? Her name is Sandra Bass, 1968 graduate. God, look at her. Skinny. Can you imagine her being a model? Look at her. But that's what she wanted to be. In high school, they called her Twiggy. I mean, you could turn her sideways and just pose bigger than she was. You walk right past her. But she never gave up on her dream. She went to California, worked at it. She said there was many occasions that she worked for free. $5 was a lot of money, but she didn't want to give up. And then it was proven, if you continue trying, God will step in. One day, it was this famous designer, Hubert da Vinci. He was looking for someone to wear his clothes. Couldn't find anybody because it wouldn't fit. But they found this girl who wore a size 0. I never heard of a size 0. That's nothing. That was Sandra Bass. She was a size 0. They met, and she became a supermodel ever since. Determination would always get you someplace. Now let's talk about somebody. Next slide, please. Well, Jimmy Webb, we know him as James Webb. Look at him. He's only this tall. Well, it could be a little taller. As you see, he's surrounded by police officer. 1965, Dr. Martin Luther King chose Jimmy at age 16 to lead a Selma March. And most of the people that was in the Selma March got turned around. But Jimmy's little crew got through. And look at him. Poised, self-confident, but they gave that young man hell. The officer name was Crocker. And James Webb said, "We want to go to the courthouse." Crocker said, "Courthouse closed." Then Jimmy said, "Well, we just want to go down there and pray." "Well, if you want to pray, go where you come from and pray with your little niggers friends." That's how he talked to Jimmy. Jimmy didn't break a smile. He told him still how he wanted to pray for him. Didn't do no good. The man's mind was made up to stop Jimmy. Jimmy went on to say, "Look, if I had a quarter and you had a quarter, would your quarter be worth more than mine?" And somebody in the audience said, "You can take your quarter and buy you a fish sandwich." And Jimmy, the first time I saw him break, but he never lost composure. Jimmy Webb led that march. Thank you. Next slide, please. Look at this elegant young man. Class of 67, G.S.C. Russell. You know, sometimes it pays to know some students to sit beside you. One day it may pay off. We got a young man here who's going to speak named Alexander Coor. He knows him pretty good. But let's make a long story short. Graduated in 67, my year. Went to Tennessee State, majored in engineering, got out, and he became the first black African-American AT&T Bell Laboratories ever hired. The first black. From Cameron High School. To make a long story short, Jimmy invented the digital, Jesse invented the digital cellular base station. This gave everybody the ability to use a cell phone to call people and make it affordable. See, back then they only had those car phones, and everybody couldn't afford a car phone. But Jesse Russell, he's a multimillionaire, and he still don't know me. This young lady's not up there, but she's on the walls in Nashville. Elizabeth Ray Duff, first black bus driver in Nashville. You may have saw her on the news. She's not up there, but they named the bus station after her. She was also in my class, Elizabeth Ray. Oh, God. And now, before I go on, I would like for all of the board to stand up, past and present, for a brief moment to get acknowledgement. Would the Cameron High School Board, past and present, please stand up. Thank you. For if it wasn't for you, we couldn't do our job. And the next one. Let me sit down and get some water. I want you to look at that card, because this is very special. A lot of us have forgotten about the Vietnam War. Oh, I'm sorry. Go with you. A lot of us have forgotten about the Vietnam War. They forgot about the young people that risked their lives. Let me go down this list. Henry Patton.
I think we need a bigger yard.
Killed January 3rd, 1968. Raymond Jordan, killed 3/23/68. Kenny Bradley, my classmate, 68. Yancey Smith, 68. James Russell, 68. John Barbee, 68. James Morgan, 68. How in the hell can statistics in this little black school in Nashville have these 7 men killed in the same? You tell me, and I'll tell you that's impossible, but this is not, because it happened. When they ran out of young men to draft, America decided to go into the safe haven that we thought we had when we go into college. No, we thought it was a safe haven. But what we found out is that a memo came out, because they needed some more people, some more pawns. They needed some other bodies to have shot at or killed, and they were running out. So let's go into these colleges and pull these kids out whose grades was insufficient. See, we don't always get the memo on time. I'm assuming that others got this same memo a lot earlier, so they had the opportunity to change some grades, to find a way to make my D a C minus. But when we got it, we were locked in, and that's all it took. So instead of a lot of us going to the Army, some of us decided to go somewhere else, because life is very important. I've got one young man. I'm going to skip because I need to skip through. So give me a minute, because he's not on the list. He's on the list, but he's further down. But I would like to bring up Reverend Kerry Carter. He was one of the ones that decided not to allow them to go into the Army. He decided that he wanted to make his own world. He decided that he wanted to live and become somebody. Reverend Kerry Carter, my good friend.
Thank you.